panel discusses empowering women, financial planning, wealth building, and investment strategies. Leading the conversation is a woman who has helped thousands of women understand financial empowerment. Please welcome the founder of FinTribe, Jennifer Awirigwe, aka Financial Jennifer. Welcome her, everybody! Woo! What a joy to have you here today. Let me come for my hug before you sit down. Thank you. Joining Financial Jennifer on stage is Business Promotion Officer to Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon at the Embassy of Sweden in Abuja. Please welcome Sara Ibru as she makes her way to the top of the stage. Empowering women. Joining this conversation, please welcome the founder of Money Week Club, Oler Oladele. And taking her place with the other women empowerment chairs, welcome Ope Oduwole, Associate Director and Head Family Office and Private Clients at KPMG. We are delighted to have you! Woo! This song is for you, that even before you start the conversation, we know your strength, we know your power, we know you. Welcome.
So amazing how this world was made. I wonder
with this, Madam Moderator.
Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing here today? We good? Yeah. Very glad to hear. I'm very honored to be the moderator here today on this panel. Yes, my name is Sara Ibru, and I'm the Business and Trade Promotion Officer at the Embassy of Sweden. And before we dig into all the questions that we have for our experts here on the panel, I would like to tell you all a little bit more about the country I represent and what I do for the embassy. So Sweden is a country in the northern part of Europe, 10 million people, not to be mixed up with Switzerland. Some people mix Sweden up with Switzerland, but we are not Switzerland. We have, actually, by landmass, we are one of the biggest countries in Europe. And what a lot of people don't know is that we used to be a very poor country, a poor farming society, actually, in the 19th century. A lot of people went hungry in the 19th century after a few bad harvests in a row. And 1.3 million people left Sweden for the United States. They migrated because they needed a better life. Then, if on the contrary, today, Sweden is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, you could say. We're not perfect, but we're considered to be one of the top economies in the world. And how did that change happen? I would say there are two main factors that we look at. And one is that we're good at exports. We export everything from medical equipment to paper products to machinery to various countries across the world. That's one thing. But the second thing is that we have been able, like I said, we're not perfect, but we have been able to include women in government and in businesses to an almost 50-50 level. And that is a strong factor, I believe, that we are so successful today. And before we jump into the panel discussion, I just wanted to mention the three pillars or three key focus areas that Sweden has highlighted and identified as important or crucial, I would say, for female inclusion and for women empowerment in a society. And the number one is enjoyment of human rights. The number two one is it has to do with representation. Representation, and I think the other panels here have before us have discussed this, the importance of having role models, so representation, both public and in the private sector. And the third, not the last one, which leads us to our topic here today, is resources, access to finance. And access to finance and wealth building is what our panelists here are experts on. And if you don't mind, I would like you to just in short introduce yourself, who you are and where you work, and why you are so excited to be here at the Guardians Women's Festival here today.
Hi, everyone. Okay, Sarah, I have to visit Sweden right now because you've sold it so well. I'm really excited at what you have done over the years. So my next trip will probably be Sweden on the wait list. Okay, I'm Jennifer Awirigwe, aka Financial Jennifer. You can call me the Women Money Cheerleader because when it comes to financial empowerment for women, that's something I'm passionate about. And through my organization, FinTribe, a community of money-minded women that save and invest together, we've been driving that mission. Why am I happy to be here? See, I say it everywhere I go. If the conversation is about women and money, you will see Jennifer there. And so I'm really glad, thank you, Guardian Woman, that we are doing this today. We are going to talk about money. And trust me, you are going to love this conversation. Because I'm looking at the panelists, the lineup is a solid one. These are women driving inclusion when it comes to finance. And I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ola. I'm the founder of the Money With Club. The Money With Club is an expression of a financial wellness company that I founded called OlerOladele.com. And what we do is that we provide access to top-notch financial education, financial literacy, and then we also provide access to investment opportunities. And I'm excited to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ope Oduwole. I like to be called Ope. I head the family office and private clients practice for KPMG Nigeria, and I'm also responsible for the family business practice. I have almost 20 years of private wealth management, managed 2 private banks nationwide, and a background in investment banking, some institutional marketing sales in there, and I'm a global Society of Trust and Estate Planning certified, what will I call that? Certified practitioner. And I'm here because people talk about women in governance, they talk about women in politics, they talk about women in business, but all that doesn't happen without women that have money. So let's help women have money.
And let's learn how to get the money and the wealth. So I wanted to start off by asking you if there are any key principles of financial planning that women should prioritize. Are there any universal ones?
Okay. Okay, so there are 2 sides to money. There are 2 sides to wealth. There's a mindset of wealth, then there's value that is used to create wealth. Now, money is just a tool. It is actually just a vehicle by which wealth is acquired. And when it comes to that, there are people that get the value of wealth right, which means they know how to create money, they know how to create the value that people will pay for, but they do not have the mindset of wealth, which means they don't know how to save, they don't know how to budget, they don't know anything about asset management, they don't know anything about money. They don't know how to manage the tool. They don't know how to create the structures, the systems, and the processes that take you from one end to the other. I'm an engineering girl, but you would hear that. But one thing I want to leave with everyone is you need to have the 2. So you might be here and you have value, but you don't have a system. You would still end up probably with a 0. And you might be here and understand money, but you don't have the value that would create, that amount of wealth. And I tell people that it's really about the amount of people that are willing to pay for either your product or your service. Microsoft, when Bill Gates created that app called Microsoft, he had a huge platform of millions. What am I talking about? Billions of people that needed his product. Therefore, he became a billionaire. So if 10 people need your product, you will be a telonaire. And if 100 people need your product, you will be a hundredaire. And if billions of people need your product, you would be what? A billionaire. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you. Do you all agree? Would you want to elaborate a little bit about?
Yes, I'll add two things. So I'll piggyback on what she said. And she's talked about making money. She's talked about managing. I will add two other things, investing and also managing risk. And I think if we add the two together, we finish the whole cycle. And why do I talk about investing? Think about having a seed and planting it, and then an apple seed, for example, and then you plant it, and after a while, it becomes a tree that produces apples every day. So yes, you would start off with working and exchanging time and value for money. But at some point in time in your life, you either want to retire or you'll be forced to retire. If you've not created that, if you've not planted that seed and given it time before you retire to begin to produce the fruits every year, you'll be stuck. Now, in that same story, there can be years where the harvest doesn't go so well, right? And if you do not structure yourself such that you can manage those risk events, and in real life, what could they be? A health challenge. Imagine if you had $1 million and then you had a medical bill for $999,000. What would you do? Would you pay for the medical challenge? Or would you say, I want to hold my money? Logically, you have to be alive to enjoy it. So what would you do? You would spend the money and go back to $1. But if you had insurance, your insurance will cover that tab and you still be, and maybe insurance is in dollar terms, maybe $2,000, $5,000. Out of your 1 million is insignificant. So what am I saying? The whole process flow of actually building sustainable wealth starts from creating value and exchanging it for time to managing it effectively so that you can save, and then actually investing so that you can breathe at some point. And while investing, have some risk management sprinkled in so that everything is balanced out.
Thank you. And financial Jennifer, do you have anything to add on this? Or
Done justice to that question.
Yeah. Because I was also thinking if there are any typical mistakes that women do. Is it so?
There are so many of them.
That are typical for women, yeah?
Yeah, let's start with the fact that to date, some of us think that wealth is for the men. I don't know how to put it. Yeah, we want to have money, but not too much that as a single lady, I won't scare the men. Or not too much that as a married woman, my husband is going to have a problem with that. And I don't know why, because money knows no gender. The problems a man have are the same problem I have. So I'm not sure why women still think that way from this kind of conversations, because sometimes people are like, we talk and talk and talk. But it's from the talking, we work on the mindset. Let me mention that there are two ways, the mindset. So it's from having conversations like this that women begin to, I can make this money. I can have as much as I want and all of that. And then on the other side, one other very popular mistake we make with our money, you see lifestyle inflation. That's something that I think everybody is guilty of it. When I was working, my first job after youth service, I was an accountant in the FMCG. Then we had this woman that sells food, lunch, breakfast, we go there. Then 200, 300 naira, you eat very well, the food is decent. But then I started to earn more, making more money, side hustle, salary is growing. And all of a sudden, her food just tired me. Let me put it that way. It's not that the quality changed or anything. When I was earning lesser, it was okay for me. But now, I don't know. My eye is now going to all these other, the place, Chicken Republic, all of those ones. And this is something, for me, okay, maybe it's just food, 1,015 is nothing. But on a larger scale, for some of us, income grows, and automatically you need to change your wardrobe. You have to be in the moving club. You change location, forgetting that place you are moving to. Mainland. Lakey babe, that's the status now. You are moving, and with moving, the environment you are in, there is a particular kind of lifestyle you have to maintain. And then you see this person that is not anymore, but are still struggling. And it takes me back to most of us did this service. Then when I was 7, it was like 19,000 something or thereabout. I always use this example. We survived on that money. So how come that now we earn times 10, times 20 of that, we still struggle? And at the end of the day, you realize that it's lifestyle inflation. Of course, the aim of making money, part of what money does for us as a tool, is to give us a decent life. We want to live better. But be careful that you are not pushing all of that extra fund into next level things. Yeah, let's leave it that way. So please watch out for lifestyle inflation. And dear woman, money knows no gender. It's for you, it's for him, it's for all of us.
And I wanted to relate onto that also for us as women. I mean, to kind of balance family life and work life. I'm a mother of two, and sometimes it can be difficult to just find this right balance. I don't know if you have, and I also wanted to say that it kind of relates about, I mean, if we look at poverty in the world, for example, the so-called feminization of poverty that is linked to the unpaid work that women do, a lot of women do, and typically maybe care work. I mean, is there, I think, just to speak broadly, I mean, how can we make it more efficient, so to say, to save our money or make our money, and especially in these days we are right now with this bad economy, to put it frankly. I mean, first of all, as a woman, like I said, to the balance between work life and family life, but also what are the smart strategies when we are in this high inflation and you know, what advice do you have for our women how to accumulate wealth?
So one thing I always try to tell everyone is that the rules of life always stay the same, such that if you need to exchange value for money, you still have to. So it's how to navigate in your own situation. Now, I'm also a mother of two, so I can relate. And my second son is 1, so he's really young, right? But I'm not sure, as an African, we have a lot of support. I'm not sure how it is in Sweden. But for us, you can have a nanny, you can have a driver, you can have all those support systems set up and throw away that guilt, right? You know that when your children are around you all day, you're just trying to throw them off somewhere. So when you are out working, just own it at that point in time. That's the first thing. Why do you have to do that? Because like I said, the rules of life don't change for anyone. And if you have your own peculiar situation, you need to work around it. I've talked about support system. The second thing I also want to talk about is negotiation. In exchanging value for money, a lot of women tend to underprice themselves. She's talked about she's talked about the whole value chain. We've talked about the whole value chain, right? You need money. You actually have to have money, right? So if you are going to be in an office for 7 hours, 8 hours every day, and you have value, and there's a guy beside you that is demanding for more, why are you not demanding for more than what he's demanding for? So a lot of women shortchange themselves, right? Or they are more modest. I mean, sometimes you have to, discuss, talk to people, find out what's happening, right? So that, and let it give you confidence. Talk to other people who you see earning what you want to earn and ask them how. Sometimes it might just be asking and being able to state your case properly. So those are the things. Once you have that capital, then we can now talk about investing, because you need to have at least covered your costs and be alive before you talk about, okay, I want to put the money away for the future. But as women, we need to know that, yes, there's equity. Some things need to be done to favor us. But then the fundamental rules of life in terms of exchange of value, in terms of, and that value doesn't always have to be, value can be different. Value can be different. It doesn't have to be the same as what the guy is doing, but you need to know the value you are bringing, the uniqueness you are bringing, and price it well.
Thank you. Ope, you have?
Yeah, do you want to? Okay, so I'm going to try and tackle 2 different things. First of all, in relating with the different people as they built their portfolios over time, I want to say clearly that you need to know your money personality. Are you an impulsive spender? Are you stingy? Because some people are on the other extreme. They never do anything for anybody. Are you in between somewhere there? You need to know yourself. Let's start from there. Number 2, you need to deal your insecurities. Because when Jennifer was speaking to stepping up to lifestyle inflation, underneath lifestyle inflation, it's peer pressure. Underneath lifestyle inflation is, I want to belong. Underneath lifestyle inflation is, I'm competing. And I remind myself, and because we're online, I want to say this to every woman out there. When you enter that party, everybody notices you for about, even if you're the best dressed, about 30 seconds. You know, we look and we're like, oh, she looks so good. And then if somebody asked you 1 week later, you're like, oh, you mean that lady that wore so you just created something that did not exist, right? So I really, really would like us to, because we're sitting in front of here, heal. Because the healthier you are emotionally, actually, the better your money management is. Right. You don't fall into certain traps. Now, when it comes to creating value, research has proven, and I will speak to this at middle level to senior level women, that a lot of times women will not apply for jobs except they are 80% sure that they can do the job. Men would look at that thing, be 50% sure, and say, I'll wing it. I'll wing the rest. Women, a lot of people wing it. The truth of the matter is that they're sitting in front of you, but they're not as confident as you think they are. And they make it up along the way. So it is okay for you to be asking for that executive director role, because I know that this is also online. It is okay for you to sit in that policy advocacy committee. Like Kamala Harris said, if you are in the room, then you deserve to be in the room. And if you deserve to be in the room, then you deserve a seat at the table. The table does not recognize your gender. The table recognizes the capacity and the value that you are bringing to solve the problem. So if you are a woman and you can solve that problem better than anybody else, then you should be paid better than anybody else. And you shouldn't be afraid to ask for it. That is what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer, do you have anything to add on to this? Or, and I just have to make a note on that. Being a Swedish woman, the confidence that I see in Nigerian women is just amazing. I don't think you have any problems of, being shy or anything like that. So that's, it's something that other countries actually will be inspired by and can learn a lot from, I would say. Another thing I wanted to touch on here in this panel is debt management. I think we all can worry sometimes about debt management. How can individuals prioritize debt management and savings while still pursuing their long-term financial inspiration?
Should I start as a banker?
Yes, please. Yes.
First of all, let me give you a trick about debt. Now, debt can be positive, but the mistake people make... No, let's even backtrack a bit. There's a difference between revenue and net income. Now, most people look at the revenue of their business, but they don't look at the net income of their business. Net income means you've paid your cost, you've paid your salary, you've paid your taxes, side eye, as in paid your taxes, you've accounted for the assets that you bought as capital assets and you're depreciating. That, after all of that, that is your net income. Sarah, a lot of businesses run at losses. When we run the numbers, so they have revenue, but they don't have profit. They don't have income. Now, it's okay to be running at a loss if you're building. Startups run at a loss. Early stage businesses run at a loss. That's not a problem. However, if I borrow 100 naira from you at 15%, that means I am going to pay you back 115 naira, right? But I borrowed I'm going to pay you back 150 naira. But I invest it in a business that pays me 10% return. Then I'm at a net loss of 5 naira. So therefore, I have not made any profit. Instead, I have added negatively to my bottom line, right? I'm at a loss. I've even added to the loss. If the business is not at a loss, it's even worse. However, if I borrow from you at 100 naira, and you're going to pay me 15%, 115, and my business is going to give me a return of 30%, so I'm doing 130% return, then I make a 15 naira net profit. And you know, I didn't even have the money before, so I'm able to capitalize on that. And if the business continues to grow, I'm able to make more money. The problem is that a lot of people borrow at a loss. They do not calculate the return on investment on what they're putting their money in. And that return might not be immediate, it might be longer term, but you need to be able to run your numbers. So women, if you're not a numbers person, get somebody that is and run the numbers. Then you look at the rate of return from the bank or whichever company it is. If the rate of return of your business is higher than, the money, then you're good. But if you're at a loss, why would you even take money at a loss? Right? I just thought to drop that there. If someone wants to take it from
Let me
there.
add to that. There's the company side of things, and there's the borrowing or taking hair on credit, taking bags on credit.
Oh, thank you.
There's, taking ashrebi on credit. There's all that, right? Traveling on credit. And I think it's becoming more of a culture because it's easier and we want to maintain our lifestyles. I would leave you to your personal standards, but I would tell you that it's not sustainable. The fact is that for things like that, if you can't afford it, you actually cannot afford it. If you think about the fact that, and I always like to say this, when we start off work, we are all excited. In our 20s, we're excited. But we don't realize that for the standard person working 9 to 5, you would work from, say, 20 to 60. That's 40 years, right? Now, you plan to live long. You plan to live till, let's say, 90. That's 30 years. But do you know that the money that you made in that 20 to 60 is what's supposed to fund you from 60 to 90? However you do it. However, now if you had parents that are pensioners and you know how inflation reduces the value of that constant pension amount, then you have to think broader than that shoe, that bag, that hair, that everybody will forget about, that they may not even notice, right? You need to put things in context. Why am I saying that? Because the decision to borrow is always unique to you. If you come into a place and you have a credit card and you pay, nobody knows you are taking that credit. Everybody thinks you bought it. Or we don't even think you bought it and you move on, we don't remember you. However, you're the one that is going to live with the implications or the repercussions. So if you want to go into debt, I would recommend that you go into debt for assets. A mortgage is a debt. It is a debt. If you have a business that needs a car to run and you take a loan for that car, it's a debt. But it is to give you more value in the future. So if you stick with that in your rule around borrowing, it will save you a lot of stress. But you see all these little things that we do, especially buying on credit, because it is subtle. You don't take it as borrowing. But guess what? It feeds into your next month's salary and the next month's salary and the month after, right? And sometimes you might be broke and you don't realize it was that hair that is the real problem. So, and I agree, if you don't know numbers, your numbers for your money, I always say you can't outsource your health and your finances. Nobody can go to the gym for you. Nobody can eat fruits and you'll be healthy. It's the same way for your money. No one can work it for you. Personal finance is always personal, so you have to own it.
So to be a little bit, thank you so much. Be a bit careful and don't overspend on maybe unnecessary things or,
I love that, Ope and Ola, you've approached it from the good debt and the bad debt and what not to do. But then there are people that's already in debt. And then for them, if you're anything you're saying about finance is not for them because their own is that they're owing people. This is for those that care. And on the other side are those that they're owing you, they ghost you. We know that person that because they borrowed money from you, you don't hear from them. In fact, when you call, is it because of how much am I even owing? No, don't be that person. So two things that could help when you find yourself in debt now. Two major things I always tell people, is there a way you can grow your income? Because it will help you pay it faster. Especially if you are dealing with bad debts. That's where the headache is. So if there are things you could do, I think Chinwe mentioned it when she was talking. This is the time you upskill. This is the time you export talent and everything. Any more, we're going to help you clear it faster. And then again, it's time you trim your budget. There's some expenses that you don't need. You are paying for something and they are still have not solved the root problem. You can aggressively cut off the non-necessities, even if they are important to you, but they are not necessary. They're not very necessary. So cut them down and focus more on pushing that extra fund to clearing your debts. When that is done, there is this relief that comes from knowing that you are not owing, nobody is pursuing you, you are not dodging anybody. But just know that debt, whether good or bad, it's not something you run from when you're already there. Just find creative way to sort it out.
Can I say something on the back of what she just said? So it's going to hurt when you start paying off your debt. Because guess what? You're not buying that Brazilian hair anymore. You're not buying that bag. You're paying it off. So I think sometimes when you also emotionally prepare yourself, psychologically prepare yourself that you know what, for the next 2 years, I'm not buying anything. I'm paying off my debt. I'm not buying any dresses. I know I'm going to have to rewear some things. We'll take the shoes to the cobbler. We'll do whatever it takes. But in 2 years' time, I will be able to breathe. Once you start to tell yourself that, the mind is so powerful, and you start to condition your mind, it becomes easier to walk that journey. But if you just say, I want to pay your debt, and then that's the time your friend will come with the most beautiful Adire outfits, Ocha is all gone. Packed it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to turn out to the audience and see, do you have any questions for our panelists? Anything on wealth building or smart saving?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists. So when we talk about money, right, I think that one thing that we probably haven't touched, and I think I'd love to hear the perspectives from the panelists, is around investment. As we're thinking about growing our wealth, what are some of the things when we are thinking about investment? What are some of the strategies that we should be looking out for? What are the investment do's and don'ts, if you like? If anyone can summarize that real quick, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
I think I'll take that. So I have an investment community, and it was started because I'm in finance. I have a background in finance. I'm a CFA charter holder. I've done all the finance techie things and all that. But I realized, and I started as a trader, and the traders get bonuses. And they expect that traders have money. But I realized that a lot of traders know the markets, know the financial markets, do the yours and the mine, but end up being broke. Right? And so I started doing education, but I realized that after that, people would say, oh, I don't know where to start from. And it's a very basic question. And these are people that are top flyers in their 9 to 5, but they just don't know where to start from. And that's why I started the Money with Club, for people to know where to start from. Now, what do? We source deals. And the idea of the club is that we don't just source deals, we make people critique it. I always tell people, investments are around you. You see these tents, right? It wasn't always here. If you've known Federal Palace, it hasn't always been here. Someone sat down and said, we have this space, we can do something with it. We can convert it to money. We have this space. Let's build this. Let's not make it permanent. We can tweak it when we want to. At the point where they decide to do it, they need capital. Now, if you are their friend, if you are in their space and you just say, can I get on this? And then every rental, you give me 10% for the next 10 years. That is an investment. Now, with every investment, your question is, what is the value proposition? Will people pay for it? And how many people will pay for it? Because if it's just one time, then maybe you just do your one time give me my money in 1 month, right? But if you can see that people will keep paying for this thing, then it's an opportunity for you to put money. You know that story of the seed and time and giving you money over time? That is it. Now, there are regulated entities, there are regulated investment opportunities, and they are non-regulated. This building will be non-regulated. The Securities and Exchange Commission has no idea. It's a bilateral transaction. But there are regulated entities, there are regulated opportunities, your stocks, your bonds, your treasury bills, all that. Those are other opportunities. Of course, we can't go into the detail of them. But basically, for everything that you see that someone says, come and invest, the question is you ask, does it make sense? Why would I, as an individual, pay for this thing? And how many people would pay for it? That's traffic. Once it's logical, before you even look at the books, which can be a lot messy and confusing for the non-finance person, if you cannot tick all those logic boxes, walk away from it.
Okay, so let me add something to that. Let me tell you about one of my clients. I'm a chartered stockbroker. So I think she's the oldest client I have. This woman, the first time we met was because her portfolio is so robust. Oh my God. There are silent rich people in this country. We don't know their names. So the day she visited the office, we got talking. She was impressed that I'm interested in investment. And that's what mentorship, the older lady, we talking to the younger ones. She told me how she was able to build that portfolio. That back then in the 90s, when she works for the government, and then at the end of the month, there are stockbrokers that come to their office to pitch to them, to talk to them. It's not this now that everything is so easy for us. At the click of a button on your phone, you can buy any stock you need. It wasn't that easy then. So these people come to their office every month. So her own is that once they pay her, when they come, she just give them small money. Oh yeah, put it there. She wasn't very sure what they're buying. They shall say, you can invest in this company, you can invest in that company. So she understood it, and it made sense to her. She keeps doing it every month throughout her working years. And now, then, it was really nothing to her. Like maybe giving out like 5%, 10% of your income. You don't really feel it. But for some of us, we think that, it's when you have big money. That's when, no. Investment is not just for the rich. Yeah, it's a vehicle. The rich, they understand that investing is a tool to grow, to preserve. But you and I, we don't have to wait for when there is so much of it. So one tool of investment, start where you are. Start where you are. Tell yourself that this portion of my income, I will keep putting it there. Go and read more on the investment opportunities available for you. And start now. In the future, you are going to be a very wealthy woman. Trust me.
Thank you. We can take some more questions.
Hi, I have two more questions.
Oh, okay.
Ope, can I ask you a question?
Sorry.
I didn't want to fall over. My question was, based on your experience at work, what 3 things can you identify as key wealth builders with the families that have built generational wealth? What would you say are 3 key things that you've identified in those families to maintain that wealth?
Madam Moderator, please, can we take all the questions
I
together?
was thinking, yes. If we can take 2 questions from here, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Una dey quarrel me. Haba. Like now, it's like everybody's very touched here. I'm not a touched woman. I want to bring you down to our level. Okay, I salute you. I love person will love you. They give us the way it's supposed to be. I like that. But I want to ask this question. The question I want to ask is that some of us that are into business, average women like us, we can beat our chest and tell ourselves the truth that we are doing well. We don't spend anyhow. We don't buy anyhow. But because of the cost of what is happening, Nigeria is so sweet now. And we are doing business. When you buy business, markets now to sell, you find it difficult to sell now because a lot of people, like you said, are trying to manage what they have. And when we buy at cost price, you will always want to sell to make profit. You understand? And when somebody wants to buy one now, it will be very difficult. Before, if you buy now, sell, people can buy 3, 4 at a go. Do you understand? But now, to sell one now is so difficult. And you know that you are doing your best as in the business, and you are still seeing yourself struggling. Is there any other way that you people can tell us to navigate?
Thank you. Thank you very much. One last one. Yes, her hand had been up since. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, how do you bridge the gap? Because I know you try to cut down expenses and you're working to cover up for your debt. But there's this spirit of YOLO, once in a while. I don't know if that makes any sense, but the way I think, okay, I've been working all year in, all year out, and I feel like, okay, at this point, it's not bad if I buy myself a bag. After I've been working, money no they finish, or rather, enjoyment no go finish, right? Yes, but debt too no they finish. So how do you bridge the gap to know when it's okay, you've been working, yes, you've not covered up the debt in front of you, but it's okay to take a break and just get yourself something nice? Does that make any sense? And at what bridge do you do that? Thank you.
Do we have any answers to these questions?
Maybe I should take the last one. I like examples a lot. So when it comes to, you say there are a lot of things to do, when do you have time to enjoy, when do you have time to save and everything. So quickly, I run a community FinTribe. So what we do, we save and invest together. I think last year we did over 1 billion, and it might not, these are just women like you and I. And how do we do that? So we have this model where every month is compulsory. You must put aside something. So now, I don't know how, let's say you earn 100,000. You tell yourself, you see, 5,000, 10,000 once compulsory, I'm taking it out. So now you know that I have 90,000 naira left to tackle with every other thing. And in your budget, my sister, there should be that enjoyment allowance. It's very important. Because if you don't intentionally create it, you will still do it, and then you overspend. Do you get? So, number one, for your savings and investment part, is something we hear every day. Pay yourselves first. So, in fact, if you can automate it, instruct your bank, as this income is going, please move this portion to my savings account, to my investment account. And then when building your budget, please self-care, your hair. You may not buy everything out. Maybe the hair is expensive. At least this month, I can put away 15K. Next month, I can put away, before you know it, the money is complete. So, it's more like you even thinking and planning it ahead before it gets to you. So,
thank you. So my sister had mentioned about the business. What you're saying is real. A lot of people just want to survive. I mean, Chinwe mentioned it. I need to survive. You know, the problem with surviving alone is that when the tide turns, you are so overwhelmed you can't thrive. Right? Now, this is where I tell entrepreneurs, right, where you need to now build one, mentor capacity. And let me give you a quick example because our time is up. And then I will answer her question. I was thinking today when I was coming to work, imagine you live in an estate where there are a lot of working people. And you own, like a mom-pop shop, you sell stuff. But you notice that these women always come home late. Which means that usually they would come to my shop if they were around. But then, because things are tight, people are working crazy hours, how about I make their life a little easier? How about I go from house to house and say, I can actually deliver to you. I will help you go to the market. I live at number 10. You understand? So everybody that is a working woman, do your flyer. This is my shop. I will go to the market for you and do your pepper mix. And do your meat. You might pick the resources that you are buying. You don't want to be a be-all to be-high. What you have done is you have pivoted your business model to suit your market. You have looked at that market and said, there is a gap here. What is going to happen is, before you know it, I can assure you, I'm a working woman. Some women will make you their permanent, they won't even go to the market again. Especially if they find out that you're real and you're honest. Now, the ability to innovate, in all honesty, I literally say is a gift from God. Because you can literally be looking, I read engineering. I used to tell people that if I knew that taking pictures and posting it was such a big deal, I would have created Instagram. If I knew. And I sat down with my classmates, but we didn't see the opportunity. So the ability to see the opportunity, I think, is a gift. An opportunity can be right in front of you, just like I said, about giving the pepper, and then all of a sudden, all the women in your estate, and they'll pay you a fee. And all of them, you are their pepper supplier. You will go to mile 12, you will bag it according to their different, preferences. You deliver it to their house with fresh meat. A working woman loves you. You are, in fact, you are her best friend. You have removed a load from her. That's just an example of how you can pivot to. Do you understand? So you are innovative. I'm not saying it's not tough. It is, right? I have to answer Chizoba's question, if you would allow me. Chizoba. Yeah, sorry. Her name is Chizoba. I called her. But when she was talking about family businesses of generational wealth, the secret, there's a family, Antinori. How many people know Antinori wine? Red wine. So, if I put the picture here, you've probably taken it so many times. 26 generations have run that business. 26 generations and still standing. Worth over $300 million. What did they do? One, they were very clear on their core values as a family. Two, they had structure. Now, Africans are not big on structure. I wish I had time. We divide instead of collaborating. So we take our $1 million that the father has and divide it into 4. As opposed to the children building a system around their $1 million and investing it from generation to generation. So if we, 4 of us, had $1 million, right? And we saw a property, we probably could buy a more high-end property than if you had 250. Our dad would have taken that $1 million and invested it as a person. We will never be able to enter into that bucket because we don't have that money. Every wealthy person knows the big deals that generate the most return usually happens to the big boys that have liquidity. So build liquidity as a family, right? And then put structure around it and then be investment savvy. The remaining is history. You will be around for many generations.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much.
Success gets to the head of everybody that is successful, whether you are male or female. The ability to stay humble when you become successful is actually an intentional decision that you make. Now, with women, it's a bit more obvious because in the home, you were called to be submissive. But there are many men who, after they became successful, nobody in their family could talk to them again. Their father, their brother, their sister, their cousin. But because a man is supposed to be standing as a leader, it is not as obvious as a woman who is supposed to be submitting to leadership. So rather than making it male or female, can we just speak about the fact that the higher you go, the more you have to intentionally tell yourself that I still have a long way to go. Because no matter where you have gone, there's somebody that has gone ahead of you. And the less humble you are, the less you learn. And the less you learn, the more you start to decline. And the more you start to decline, the more you move backwards. And all of a sudden, what will happen is one day, you will find out that people have moved far ahead of you while you were on that journey of success. Every successful person, and because of the nature of my job, I deal with a lot of successful people. The people that continue to pivot aren't arrogant, always willing to learn, submit to younger people teaching them things, and are just the most amazing people you would ever meet. So being arrogant is actually an anti-success behavior. And in the end, you will end up losing by not being as successful as you could have been.
So, if it will be 3 key pillars, so 3 things that I would say that are important for women empowerment in general in a society, it would be enjoyment of human rights as number 1, and a very important factor is representation. We've been discussing it here in a few different panels. The importance of role models, the importance of seeing a woman in a position that you can strive for to encourage young girls, young women in the early stages of their careers. So representation is very, very important for closing the gender gap. And then thirdly, of course, when it comes to resources such as finances, access to finance, and to have the opportunity to mobilize wealth and to make smart strategies for savings. This is what we discussed today. I hope you enjoyed this Women's Festival by The Guardian as much as I did. Thank you.